Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and today I'm bringing you my library update for December 1st, 2021. These are all the games, upgrades, and pre-orders that happened in November. Now, if you have any questions about any of these games, please leave them down in the comments below, and if you aren't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure you have. It's the best way to help us grow. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Now, the first thing we'll talk about are the upgrades, and our first upgrades here is the giant box for the Paladins of the West Kingdom. Now, this is the Vassals mini expansion, so it has a bunch of these little cards, but the big thing is that it's going to be a big collector's box that fits everything. Unfortunately, I don't really like the insert that it comes with, but we have a organizing video on our channel on how we've kind of mashed everything into here. That way we can actually get gameplay started ASAP, and I think it works really well. So go check out that video. But the Vassals mini expansion is really straightforward. It comes with these yellow workers, and they are wilds, essentially, kind of like the purple workers, but they also give you a discount when you use them of provisions or coins. So very straightforward, very simple. The next thing we're talking about here are upgrades for Western Legends. These are the poker chips, and these simply just replace all of your cardboard tokens. Unfortunately, they are out of stock right now, but they are extremely nice, extremely hefty. I think if you're playing this game, this is a must-get. They just feel incredible, and they also increase the size of those legendary tokens, and so now a larger bag as well, so we can actually reach in for them. It's just going to be a lot more satisfying than reaching in that little bag and pulling out the tiny little ones. So I love the size of these and just their presence on the board. So that's for Western Legends. Up next, we got some player pieces for purple. So if you go to the BGG store, there's lots of little cubes here, and you can pick the color you like, and this one has a purple choice. So we've got some purple pieces. These are particularly for the Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition, and Terraforming Mars. So now that's another player color that you can be if you play those games. A lot of fun just to have that variety. My friend Eric actually suggested that. And while I was there, I also went ahead and got some translucent plastic gems, some red ones, and these are particularly for Fox in the Forest Duet to replace the cardboard gem pieces that come in the game. Just really nice, a small little component upgrade for $3, I'll take it. Up next, we have a promo for Ice Cool. This is a block door. I think this is kind of neat. It will allow you to strategically place these block doors and prevent other players from escaping. So I like this. It seems very straightforward, and really all it is a little card, and that's it. There's nothing else flashy about it. The next promo here we've got was for MacroMicro Crime City. This is Full House, and it's just another case for Full House. Really cool. I really like this one, and I just think it makes a lot of sense. So might as well get this, especially with the new release here. So I really like these additional cases. Just get some extra mileage out of a game you already own. Very nice. Up next, we have the Collector's Edition for Cartographers Heroes. Kind of like the Paladins box, this is just a larger box that fits all of the content, and it does it very well. I love the organizer in this thing, so I'm not getting rid of that one. But it also comes with some new skills, so the mini expansion 2 for the skills, which is really nice, and I think this is just a really well done product. So if I were to recommend this, I would. I think this is a fantastic purchase if you have all the Cartographers content. In addition, we also got some colored pencils for Cartographers. Definitely don't need these. Generally, I think these are a little too small, kind of annoying to use, but they do fit nicely into that Collector's Edition box, but you can fit normal size colored pencils into the Collector's Edition box. But this is kind of nice just to have in case you're playing with a lot of extra players. I do like that they have the Cartographers written on them, but they are pre-sharpened. They work. I think that if you were looking for something of this size, though, you definitely can get probably some cheaper ones and just sharpen them down to a specific point. So those are the colored pencils for Cartographers. And that leads us into our new games and expansions, starting off with the Mad Titans Shadow expansion for Marvel Champions. So Marvel Champions here is one of my favorite games ever, and this brings 2 new characters, Spectrum and Adam Warlock, as well as a bunch of new characters. And I'm not going to spoil anything here, but it does have Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet, obviously, and Black Order, but it also has 2 additional villains that I had no idea were going to be coming. So really cool. If you like Marvel Champions, get this pack. It's amazing. It increases the difficulty if you like, optionally, and it also introduces some fun encounters that I think are really well done. So one of my favorite expansions so far, and I just see myself playing this a lot. Now, mainly for those encounters, I think that the heroes are okay, but they do offer some really powerful cards that are going to be really good in some past sets. So particularly with Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch, you have some really fun Mystic cards that come in the Adam Warlock deck. Really, really cool. Up next, we have the game Western Legends Blood Money. This is an expansion for that. Came with those tokens we talked about earlier. This is going to be a new kind of final expansion for the game that introduces new characters, new items, a new vendor, but the big thing it adds is a new story system. The way this works is you are going to replace the main deck of cards in the original game and put out this large board and these large cards. And these large cards have conditions that you'll try to meet to put your story markers out there, and you'll go up the story track instead of just putting your marker out there and kind of being at the whim of whatever the card is. And it also has an effect that's going to be passive. For example, this one here says that bandits will draw an additional fight card in each fight, which is so cool. I love the way that these events change the story, and I think it does it in an excellent way. So I strongly recommend this expansion if you enjoy Western Legends. I think it's a nice kind of capstone on this game as a whole. Great expansion here, blood money. Up next, we have the game MacroMicro Crime City. This is the Full House expansion. This one does have a really cool feature where it's actually going to have show age appropriateness on the different cards. So you'll be able to choose a mission that has age appropriateness. You have these little faces in the corners that'll say, hey, it's got a smiley face, so you could play it as a young person, which I think is nice because there were definitely some risque cases in the first one. So I really like this approach here. And wow, Macro Crime City is just a wonderful game. You're going to be going around and investigating. Where's Waldo? Clue solving. Fantastic game. Up next, we have Lux Aeterna. This is a new kind of solo real-time game where you're trying to be fixing a machine that is your ship, and you're doing your best to not die, essentially. You have 15 if you're playing on easy, 10 if you're playing on hard, and you're going to be taking a hand of cards and assigning them to different positions. You either hold a card, use it as its action, use it for its movement, which will push you towards a black hole till your death, or you'll use it for your damage, which is going to ruin those systems on your ship. So I really like the mitigation here. I think the choices are pretty straightforward and simple, and I think that real-timeness is going to add that chaos that's going to push it into something that I do want to come back to and enjoy. So otherwise the game might be a bit too simplistic, but I think that simplicity works well for a real-time game. So really impressed with this one. That is Lux Aeterna. Up next we have Fort. This is a small little deck building game where you are going to be playing with your friends, and if you don't, they're going to go to your neighbors. So great little system, a rendition of SPQF, but with a couple of rules changes and revisions, and with the awesome Kyle Farron paint job. I just think that this game is absolutely beautiful. I love this. This might be up there in my favorite arts. I think this is just absolutely wonderful. But the mechanisms work extremely solidly. I love the following system here, and I love how it's erased these. And I also love the made-up rules. I love that you can get your alternate scoring conditions during the game. We also got the Fort Cats and Dog expansion, which introduces some new things to the game. And I think you should just get this right off the bat and play with the cats right away. The cats are so good. The way they work is they're attracted to those cards that you don't play with. So now you have a reason to actually dump cards. But it's kind of scary because if you dump those cards, your opponents can also have first pick at them. Very terrifying. The dogs are also a fun addition, but not one I would play with every time, but still amazing artwork. Look at this little Frenchie. It reminds me of corn. So cute. I love this. So that is Fort and Fort Cats and Dogs. Up next, we have Role Player Adventures, a huge campaign game, about 5 missions in now, and I'm having a fun time with this. I think the story is great. I think it's got some great choose-your-own-adventure elements, but the gameplay is all about dice manipulation, and it works well. You'll have all these item cards and skill cards that are reflected from the original role player, and you'll use them to manipulate the dice. Like this one here, you can change a 3 to a 1 or a 6. You'll also be picking up these titles that will affect things in future missions, or keywords that will affect things at the same mission, and I think that if you do play this, please make sure that you are not playing true solo right from the bat, because it is pretty dang daunting because you have half as many resources than you really should, and it can really put you in a rut. If you are going to do that, make sure you research your characters very well, make sure that you know these abilities, make sure you really know how to play before you get started, because it can be very demoralizing. So just a heads up, I don't want anybody to start this game off on the wrong foot, because it is a fun experience. So make sure if you're playing solo, play two-handed, or play with just more than one person, and that should solve your problems there. So that is the Role Player Adventures. Up next, continuing on the Role Player universe, we have Cartographers Heroes. This is the standalone expansion that includes some new heroes and villain cards for this classic roll and write game. You're going to be building a giant map in front of you with all of these Tachamino pieces. You'll have scoring conditions you're trying to fulfill, but it also includes some new villains, which are my favorite parts, that have actual special abilities every round that they're going to trigger. So I really like this. You also have some that will give you rewards when you kill them, but are bigger, and I just love this concept. I think it just makes so much sense, and I'm curious to see why they didn't have them before. So this is a great addition. I love the monsters in this, and just the new map layouts are great. Fantastic. Speaking of new map layouts, we have the Cartographers Heroes map pack. So these are 3 new maps for cartographers, and you can use these with the base game or the new one, and these are simply just new maps with new cards you'll add. So Nebulous here is a lava storm, and you're going to have these lava cards that are shuffled into the deck, and when they get pulled, you'll be drawing lava on your board, which is really cool because they can help you fulfill certain conditions, but they also can get in the way, which is kind of scary. So I really like that. Next is a frill here. This one is my favorite. It has 6 little islands that you're going to be traveling on, and they just work so well. It really makes you think about the pieces you're taking and where you can position them, and it offers new scoring cards that relate to those islands. I love this one. Get this one first. Up next is Undercity. This is probably my least favorite out of all of them. This has you going into this underground area, and instead of kind of having this free-form ability to play them wherever you'd like, you have to now play from your starting piece, and you always have to draw completely on the top or completely on the bottom, and you'll draw from this gate. I think it's fine. I don't think it does anything crazy, and I think there's a lot of other polyomino games that use this mechanism of kind of going from where you already were, so I don't think it does anything extremely interesting or innovative, and I think it's just fine. Once again, it's good if you want to freshen up things, but I would probably choose this one last out of all of them. So that's the Undercity expansion, and those are all the map expansions for cartographers. Up next, we have Paladins of the West Kingdom, City of Crowns. This one is absolutely wonderful. I am never going to play Paladins without it. It adds a new player board piece to your own personal board with 2 new actions, Negotiate and Muster, and it offers new sections in the center where you're going to be gathering new cards or trading for things. So you have new public action spots that you're going to be competing for, which is fantastic. And you also have a new type of card you're going to be chasing after. So this card here are the negotiation cards. When you go here, you're going to either take the top, which gets you a strong action, but you need a certain amount of this white trait, or you're going to take a bottom action here, which gets you symbols. So these symbols are set collection for the end of the game, or if you have 3 of the same, you get a very cool bonus and recurring worker income, which is really nice. So I like that there's some choices here on what you go with, and I also like at the top here, it ignores the cost. You no longer have to pay that, and you get to take that action at a stronger level. So really cool flexibility with these cards, and once again, first come, first serve, so it adds to that competition. Really like this one. Up next, we have the new War Machine pack for Marvel Champions. This one is so much fun. I love the ammo system here. My favorite flavor text ever. Boom, you looking for this? But the ammo system is really neat. Every time you flip into War Machine, they're going to get a bunch of ammo counters. You can use those as you see fit on your cards or your upgrades, and I really like how it's up to you how you want to do this. It really encourages you to flip back and forth to alter ego and your hero mode, which I really like. That means he does play well with things with confusion or justice, or if you're kind of tag teaming with another player, which is great. He also has some really fun combos with Iron Man if you're playing that mode. Oh, it's just so good. I love this character. He might be one of my favorite heroes, up there with Thor and the rest. Oh my gosh, amazing. So great expansion, War Machine. Up next, we have Final Girl. So this game is so cool. This has you playing with the hostage negotiator system, moving around a hero on a map and doing your best to defeat this evil nemesis. So you have to kill a horror movie killer. Now, this game in particular takes a lot of inspiration and a lot of mechanisms from the original game, but it does some changes that are really going to better the game, I think, for a lot of people. You have a lot of options to, when you fail rolls, maybe reroll all your dice. You have some choices when you fail, which is really cool, and a lot of times that was pretty punishing in the original game, but I think it's done really, really well here. I love the item system, I love the searching system, I love the hostage system, I love how you're leveling up your final girl and the enemy is leveling up during the game, and the feature film system works really well. These boxes are actually extremely cool. They are going to come apart, and you're going to take the character from the box here and to flip open the top there, and then it becomes the board, or it becomes the killer's dashboard. So neat. I love how this works, and you can mix and match as you see fit, and I just think it's really, really awesome. So this is one that I'm going to continuously play. It's kind of set up on my table right now. I'm just going to keep on diving through all these packs, but I'm having a great time with this. I think that the Final Girls are all very different and interesting, and I love the different changes that happen when you mix and match these sets. So one that I'm really looking forward to playing more of, that is Final Girl. Up next, we have Corrosion, an engine building game where you're literally building engines. Now, this game is really interesting to me. So you are going to have this big wheel in front of you, and on your turn, you either play a card and do its action, or you turn your wheel. And when you play a card, it's going to, based on the number, go onto that space on your wheel. And when you turn your wheel, once an X reaches your those cards you play, you reclaim those cards. But that being said, there's lots of different things that you're doing when you turn your wheel. You can buy machines that activate when you turn your wheel. You can buy these machines that trigger once your wheel gets to a certain point. Or you can buy these large machines that are kind of continuous passive abilities that are not going to go away until you build something over them. So it's a very interesting system where I feel like it's very slow, which is weird because the gameplay is kind of quick, but you're not doing a lot on each of your turns. And this might be just the first play and getting comfortable with the game. But it's a very weird system. I'm excited to try it again, but I don't know how I feel about this one. This is one of the first games in a long time where I've learned it and I've kind of played it through, and like the first hour I was just sitting there like, what am I doing? Like, is this good? I'm trying to like interpret what the best strongest plays are and what kind of value I'm getting out of the cards I'm playing, and it was really weird to wrap my head around. And I kind of like that because it makes me kind of change the way I'm thinking about things, and I like that kind of thing in games. So I'll see if this changes. The biggest thing that we noticed in this game is the one-shot machines are very powerful for scoring. In addition, the crow machines are also extremely powerful to just prioritize and get, and the end game goals are also very huge. So just if you're playing this for the first time, just keep that in mind. You want to be getting machines, you want to be building this engine, obviously, and you want to be going for those endgame scores because they are pretty dang significant. So I do recommend this one so far, but we'll see if my opinions change or if I'm just still feeling uncomfortable and just feeling that it's too slow for me as I keep on playing. So that's Corrosion. Up next, we have an expansion for one of my favorite games. This is Bullet Orange. This offers some new characters, so 4 new characters with their matching boards and boss cards, as well as their character pattern cards. You just have all sorts of new characters to dive into. I've only played one so far. I played QP, and she is one of the more difficult ones. She has a smaller hand size of 2 cards, but she has a cool effect that every time she uses a pattern, you can pay an action to draw a new pattern card. And the patterns are the way you clear the bullets. So this is a bullet hell game where all these things are coming into your board, and you're going to be trying to get rid of them using specific patterns. You need them in specific areas. So I really like QP because she just has you ripping patterns after patterns after patterns. She has some cool action systems where you can sift through the patterns you already have, and you're constantly setting up for plays. And I really, really like that. And when you play these characters, the more you play them, the more you get to know the patterns they potentially have. So you can kind of set up for specific ones. And she has a cool effect where you can even get the same pattern for the discard, so you can really cycle those things. So I love her flexibility. I just think she makes a lot of sense, and she's a lot of fun to play. So excited to try the other 3 heroines, but Bullet Orange, one of my favorites ever. And that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the pre-orders. We are now on Hanamikoji Geisha's Road. This is a new version of Hanamikoji that comes with a board, essentially. Every time you play a card now, it's going to be moving, and when you move those characters, you're going to be improving the point values for those different characters. So I really like this system. I think that it makes sense, a nice evolution of Hanamikoji. There's so many stretch goals unlocked for this, so I'm just excited to get all of this goodness. So we've got a lot of upgraded pieces, we have new promo cards. I'm just excited. Hanamikoji is a 10 out of 10 game for me, so more content for that is wonderful. Big thing that I really am excited for are these new promo packs. There are all these little tiny expansions that are basically replacement tiles for the game that I'm just super excited for. You're going to be able to mix and match them as you see fit with your different games. You can either play them with Geisha's Road or with the original, but they do have their own little set. So I'm excited to try this, and I think the movement system makes a lot of sense here. I'm thrilled. I can't wait to play Geisha's Road. Looks very awesome. Up next, we have Clank in Space Pulsarcade. This is already out, actually, on the Renegade site, but we ordered it through, I think, Game Nerd, so hopefully they get their act together and we get this one soon. But this one here is basically a mini expansion for Clank in Space. This has lots of different modules. You have some little goals, more module tiles, as well as new items, new cards. It's just more for a game that I already like, so I think this is going to be a great little expansion. So my favorite in the Clank franchise. Up next, we have the game Lost Ruins of Arnak. This is the Expedition Leaders expansion, and the big thing that this comes with is not just more cards and more boards, more temple tracks, but also comes with unique player powers. So each player is going to get one of these fancy smanchy boards, and these are going to come with their own special abilities listed on them. The artwork is amazing, as usual. I just think it looks so good, and having your own personalized board just seems fantastic. So really excited to give this one a try. I'm thrilled. I am super excited to start this one out. Up next, we have the Dune Imperium Rise of Ix expansion. We actually pre-ordered through Direwolf for this one because I was just having a lot of trouble finding the promo card for it amongst my local game stores here in Colorado Springs. I do love purchasing from them, but my goodness, they could not give me a straight answer. I was continuously calling them and asking, hey, will I get the promo if I pre-order from you? They could not confirm. So that was really frustrating for me. So I ended up pre-ordering through here because this guarantees that I get the promo and I have that content. And this promo card is really cool. You can go to anywhere and trigger a signet ring. Oh my gosh. And the ability when you discard it or banish it. This is so good. So I think that this is just one that would be really exciting to play and have in the game. So excited for that. In addition, it just adds more new cards, a bigger focus on deck building, a new alliance track with Chome, and more characters. Oh, this is an expansion that I'm thrilled to play, and also more battle units. Whew! I'm so excited to start playing this one. And we just got the miniatures expansion, a confirmation email, so I can't wait to put it all together. Up next, we have Ark Nova. This is another pre-order through Capstone Games, and this one here has a wonderful theme of building a zoo. This is so cool. I love this. I can't wait to actually get started and play it. It looks like it has a heavy focus on card playing and engine building, and I love games like that. Maracaibo, Terraforming Mars, I love that card evaluation, and here it looks like you have a large market of cards, but the card artwork is just pictures of animals. So much fun. It really gives me a lot of Terraforming Mars vibes, and I just can't wait to give it a try. Heard very positive buzz about it, and I think it'll be one that I'm excited to dive into. And the last game we're talking about here is actually not a game. It is a group of promos from Man vs. Meeple Season 4. Now, this is one of my favorite groups to back on Kickstarter. I really enjoy their content, particularly their, I think they're called the sit-downs, where they talk about all their kind of feelings on different board game topics, and it's just a lot of fun to kind of sit there and chat. I love the way they're doing it now, where they do a premiere so that they have their show playing and you can kind of chat with them as the show is premiering. I really like that. But the reason I really like this Kickstarter is their approach on promos. So with a lot of these companies, you will have to Kickstarter maybe like a $40 pledge, and it only gives you a certain amount of content. Here, you can just pay $60 for an all-in pledge of promos, and you get so much stuff. And their promos are good. So this is my favorite. I mean, look at all the companies they have going with them. You can do a pick 3 where you only get 3 of the promos, but there are so many good games here that you really should just get them all. Because look, we got Corrosion cards, we got Endless Winter, Ares Expedition, Vindication, 11, Merchant's Cove, Fantasy Realms promo, Origins, Fog of Love, Stroganoff. So these are not only really good released games, but also games that are going to be arriving soon. And how fun is that to have your own special promo for that? And a lot of these are pretty big, pretty impactful promos. So there's a lot that are coming in stretch goals as well, but this is awesome. I love that this just exists. I love there's more scoring for Hadrian's Wall. I love that you have these new character cards for Fantasy Realms. That can be a big deal. This is awesome. So I love this promo bundles. I just think that's so good. You're getting a lot of stuff for this as opposed to some of the other Kickstarters that offer promo content. So big fan of Man vs. Meeple for the way that they run these Kickstarters. It's just a great way to get some fun promos to gamers. Awesome. And that's everything. That's the library update for December 1st, 2021. Everything that came into the library in November. Which of these are you most excited to play? Which of these have you already played and are you enjoying? Which things should I have gotten into the library this month? I'd love to hear all of your thoughts in the comments below. But thank you so much for joining me, and thanks as always for being here. SideGame Strong.